Hello and a warm Collisions YYC. Welcome to my guest this morning, the lovely, the talented Miss Arielle Land. How are you doing, Arielle?
Hi, Tyler. I'm great. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I feel I had to twist your arm a little bit, but I was really curious to get you on. I've been excited to watch the evolution of your career, but more importantly, what you've been doing here for the last little bit, which is Director of Operations at Movement 51, which is of the 51. I've had the lovely and also very talented, incredibly smart ladies from the 51 on the show before. Love what you're doing as an adjunct alongside building community, educating, all the things that you do at Movement 51, but no better person to come on to talk about it than you. So how long have you been at Movement 51?
I have been on the team for almost 2 years now. Can you believe it? It's flown by, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Arielle, it's cliche. We're getting old. Time moves faster.
I'm getting old.
Oh my God, is that 2 years? Are you crazy? Okay, well, let's not. I don't like to make any assumptions and I don't like to pretend. What is Movement 51? Let us into the tent.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of a story.
Thanks for asking. A lot of people ask, why is it called Movement 51? And so the reason why it's called 51 in it is because women make up 51% of the population, but receive less than 5% of venture capital, which is crazy. And we're here to change that narrative through education. And so if you think, Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, we teach female founders how to pitch to a shark or a dragon. And then we also, if you're interested in being a shark or a dragon, all with an inclusive lens, we teach you how to do that. So after you hear a pitch, what questions to ask, how to evaluate a company, etc., all to support female founders.
Amazing. And just to be clear, do you cover both sides? If I have funds that I want to invest and I don't understand this asset class, or I've got an idea on the back of a napkin, is it fairly typically early stage individuals you're talking to that are just getting into it?
So we support female founders that already have an MVP and, have traction and are going to fundraise in the next 6 to 8 months, pre-seed or Series A. So they have already proven their product or service, and they're just these incredibly powerful women doing incredible things.
Amazing. So they've probably done some friends and family, some bootstrap. They've brought some money in, but not necessarily a formal pitching as you're moving up the ladder of the stages of accessing capital.
Yes. And when you think about venture capital, there's a lot of jargon and scary terms that people find when they get into it. And so we're really here to demystify the scariness of fundraising and really make it approachable.
That's amazing how many industries they love their acronyms and they love their secret codes. And if you don't use the right code word, you don't get into the club kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It's like, she didn't use the right word there. She's just not serious about it. What's the balance? If you're going to run, we'll talk a little bit about your cohorts and the kind of, I think, the financial investing lab. Is it typically balanced, or do you run specific for the pitching group versus the investing group?
It depends on the mandate that we are working on. So it just depends. We support 20 founders a cohort. And right now, thank you, Alberta Innovates. We are doing 2 cohorts this year. And then when it comes to the investing lab, it just depends on what we're currently working on. So right now, I don't know if you saw, but I've been in Winnipeg, Edmonton, doing boot camps of 1-day early stage investing. And I'll actually be in Saskatchewan next week. So looking forward to that.
Oh, so you're taking the show on the road. So this isn't Western Canadian specific, or is it, Western Canada, I guess, everywhere you just talk. It's not Alberta specific. It is Western Canadian specific.
We try and be Canada-wide as much as possible. So we are actually just in chats with St. John. So hopefully I get shipped over to there to do early stage investing training.
Oh, amazing. I'm curious. So who's in the room? I guess first question is who's in the room, and then does it change? Like from Edmonton to Calgary to Winnipeg? Does it shift? Yes. Like when you're looking out at that audience, talk to me. Who are they?
It's so interesting, the people that come in the room. So I find there's 3 groups. There is students who are just curious and they're innovative and they just want to learn about early stage investing. They're super curious. And they're just interested in anything that you have to say, which is awesome.
That's a great audience.
They're awesome. And so the other group that we see is those who have a little bit more money on the side, that are curious about early stage investing, but not quite sure how to do it and how to approach it, and just want to take that first step. And so they are quite, I would say, curious, but they are very careful as well.
Cautiously curious, we'll call them.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last group that we see is ecosystem players. And so it's individuals that work in accelerators, incubators, that are looking to support founders and how to be early stage investment ready. And so they want to learn the jargon and the nuances of the industry.
Okay, great. So they're coming in just to enrich in their own knowledge so that they can pass it along.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And does that cohort shift, or is it somewhat equally balanced between jurisdictions and like different parts of the country?
I find it just depends on who we end up partnering with.
I get it.
So like, for an example, in Winnipeg, we partnered with an accelerator that had an older demographic that was very interested in angel investing. And we usually see a younger group, especially in Edmonton. We saw a lot of more ecosystem players. There's a lot more accelerators happening in Edmonton as well. So I think that's part of it. But it just, honestly, it depends from cohort to cohort.
Which kind of makes sense. I really like what you said. It's who you partner with. And when you're trying to get an idea out there, that channel partnering approach, which is great because you get instant access to someone's network, but then it tends to be skewed of who's in that group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you definitely see the skews, and it really changes the dynamic of the group, the questions that you get, the even level of excitement is completely different. You have to wake up a certain group a little bit more and use some of those wake up tactics. And then the other groups, you can't get them to be quiet because they're so excited to connect and ask questions and collaborate. So it's very interesting.
What are some of the typical questions you get, or the ones that stick out in your mind when you're at those events that you're like, oh, good question, or wow, we get that question almost every time in one way or another?
Yeah. So what's interesting is there is case studies in our program where they evaluate two companies and decide which ones they want to invest in and what questions they want to ask these companies. And what we hear a lot, and you'll see this when it comes to asking questions to female founders, is a lot of risk questions instead of opportunity questions. And that is a gender bias that we see. And we really empower our female founders to, when they get risk questions, how to reevaluate that question and see it as an opportunity question, and how to just really reframe that.
Can you give me an example of a risk question, and if it has an opposing, or maybe I'm thinking of this binary, which might be incorrect. I've got a risk question, then I've got an opportunity question. And I'll be bold, and I'm hearing what you're saying. If there's a female founder sitting in front, they might get a risk question. Is there an opportunity question that a male founder would get if the roles were switched?
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with traction. Why haven't you, for example, people will say, why haven't you done this? Or why haven't you approached this group? Where with men, you'll see a lot of, have you considered reaching out to this group yet? Or have you reached out to this group? And it's just it's a little difference in how you approach the question. And it's coming from a place of curiosity, not, why didn't you do this?
It sounds a bit accusatory versus like, hey,
exactly.
I wonder what it would be like. Does it make any difference who's asking the question? Do female investors also have the same? They do. That's interesting to me.
Which breaks my heart. And you know what, Tyler? We call it out. We call it out in the program. We empower female founders in the other program as well. And we really, really work on our investors coming from a place of curiosity and just knowing that the founder has already probably considered this question that you're about to ask, and coming from a place of grace as well, because pitching is really, really hard and really scary.
It's very
scary. And asking for money, can you imagine? No, that's terrifying.
I heard a joke years ago. If you want advice, If you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. I
Oh, I
can't help
love
but
that.
yeah, I think about it all the time. People that I know that are like, I've got an idea. I'm just going to go and ask people what they think. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, can I invest? Versus the opposite happens when you ask for money. It's like, well, I don't have any money, but let me tell you what I think you should do with your business. The armchair quarterback scenario is very real, or whatever sports. Just look at me being using sports metaphors is also, I think, very male, gender specific as well. So I'll refract, especially somebody who doesn't really watch sports.
Go team.
Yeah, go sports. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all understand the concept. So how did you find your way? Because I know you have an eclectic background from entrepreneurship to marketing to you've been in purpose-driven organization. Well, actually, yeah, we'll park that for a second because you were at Kudos. I know that. I know now you're here. Very, very purpose-driven organizations. How did you find your way to Movement 51 and how does it fit into your eclectic journey of career?
Yeah. Oh, interesting question. I have, as you've seen my career evolve, been in many different industries and have built a lot of connections. And what I found that I'm really good at is seeing the gaps of education and empowering people through education. And now I find that people are disconnected from education, whether it's through knowledge or confidence or access, and that there's ways and opportunities for me to really support individuals and help them succeed through giving them approachable and easy to digest education, whether that's through the importance of recognizing someone and saying thank you, or whether that's through financial education. I've always found a real purpose to helping others succeed through that empowerment.
I appreciate that. How is it? How you've been there for 2 years? Has the way you provide, because we're always learning as organizations, as individuals, and I know you, something you and I share is the always learning passion and always learning bucket. How have the courses or how have the cohorts evolved in terms of, hey, you know what, we tried to teach them 10 things and only 5 of them landed? I'm being very binary. Has it evolved in a way that you've kind of changed and shifted the program? And every year things are changing. 2 years ago was just coming out of COVID, right? And now we're 2 years away. We don't even want to bring it up. But it changes how people interact from online to in person. And what have you seen kind of trend wise, and how have you capitalized on that or attempted to?
Yeah, we are relentless when it comes to feedback and data. And we are very, very driven by bigger, better, faster, stronger. And so we see our programs and our documents as living programs and living documents where they're always adapting and improving. And that is incredibly important of programs of excellence. And so we track our not just NPS score, but we also track our investment ready confidence. And so we keep a close eye on all types of feedback to see what are people responding to, what are those small wins, what are those big wins, and how can we adapt and change based on what's changing in our environment. What we're seeing now, as we are away from COVID and really digging back deep into building connections face to face, is that importance of those interactions at a human to human level. And so we're creating more opportunities to have these individuals collide, we say, and really get to know each other, not just in a surface level, but a meaningful way. And there's tons of tactics on how we do that in both types of programs that we do. So we're continually layering on engagement tactics to ensure that it's not just education and sharing knowledge, but it's a learning experience where someone can come in and be their full selves and really digest the content, but be connected and be able to ask any question.
I love that, and I can't help but hear a little Carol Dweck sitting in the back there with with your growth mindset. I know you're a fan of that book, as am I.
My favorite book.
That relentless need to improve and the constant strive for feedback, not just not just compliments. Feedback isn't someone telling you did great. Feedback's you taking away and learning that you can always be better. What tactics have you found that have worked for? Because I've talked to different individuals. I was speaking to an organization out of LA the other day, and they focus on it's 50-50 women on boards was the organization. They said the biggest challenge is how do you keep these individuals, like it's the network you have after. Like I've had friends who've done MBAs and they're like, yeah, the learning was great, but the people I met, that's what really changed my life. Do you have any specific, because we all use different tools, we all gravitate differently to, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, or I'll give me your number and I'll WhatsApp you. Have you found certain ways that people in your groups like stay connected, like to create that sense of community beyond the cohort?
Yeah, it's about being intentional. It's about making collisions and making it happen. It's easy to say that you are going to continue a cohort community, but actually doing it is a whole nother can of worms and so much harder to do. What we have found works is just create opportunities for collision. Whether, I just hear the collision drop. There we go.
Well done. I loved it.
So it's just creating opportunities as much as possible. And what's crazy is we create all these opportunities and they want more. People just want to connect, and you create easy ways for them to connect, such as a sip and connect, a coffee, like a coffee meetup. Not much budget for coffee, and it's an easy win for people to connect. Leave conversation starters around the room. Start a conversation with a toast. There's all these ways that at the event that you can create these additional collisions. And it's also just like remembering people and saying, hey, you should connect with this person because I see a similar value or a similar interest.
Nothing more powerful than I see you, right?
I see you. Yeah.
I really, really appreciate how intentional you are. And oftentimes we look for, what's the big thing you did? It's what I'm hearing is these are small, incremental, continuous effort items that you put in place. Like, we tried that. It worked. Let's add another layer. Let's put another, because you're right. Everyone in the room is going to connect with things differently. But if you provide enough variety, we'll all find the cookie flavor that we like, right? Or the box of chocolates.
And people are fascinating. We are so unique and different, and how I feel connected and engaged one day is going to be different how I, as the same individual, feel connected and engaged another day. And so that's why you need to create so many different ways and opportunities for people to engage and connect and interact, so that they are connected through one of those avenues, hopefully, and continue to create and test out many different varieties of how people collide.
Oh, I love it. Well, I also can see that you're passionate about it. How big's your team?
I'm very passionate.
I love that. One of your many most endearing traits. How many people on your team?
Yeah, so Movement 51 is a nonprofit of The 51, which is a venture capital firm that supports female-funded businesses. We have shared team members. I believe we have 4 shared team members.
Okay.
And then I have a new boss as of Monday, which is very exciting. We have an executive director starting Monday. And so that will be a full-time team of 3. And then we work with tons and tons of consultants. And we really lean on the consulting teams to really amplify our voice and support our programs. But the real fundamental team is program oriented and really delivering on programs that are of excellence.
How do you, as director of operations, I'm thinking about, what you just shared about we're always looking, we're always adding. That can be very energizing, or it can also be very fatiguing, because there is we need to standardize something so that we can move on to something else. But yet when you're always moving, how does the team, or how do you keep your team, and maybe how do you stay motivated in that? What I'm hearing is a constant state of flux and growth.
Yeah. I think it's really important to celebrate your wins. And you can always see how you can improve, yes, but it's really important to stop and celebrate what you have achieved. And so one practice of mine, you'll see it in my calendar if you ever check it out. Every single Thursday, I spend at least 5 minutes sharing gratitude to my team. Nice. And really reflecting not just what it is we did, but how it really impacted me and or the organization. And so it's not just practicing that that gratitude lightly, but really intentionally thinking about those wins that we achieved in the past. And I think that really helps motivate and catapult you moving forward. And I think it's also just like, it's one step at a time. It's just one step. And, think bold and think big, but all you need to do is one step to improve it.
It seems so obvious when you say it out loud, but I love what you said about, being deliberate about sharing gratitude and putting some thought into it. Like, not, hey, great job, but hey, great job because of XYZ, like being thoughtful. Yes. And I love how you said 5 minutes because you're like, oh, I don't have time. The universal excuse for everything. I don't have time. Do you book it in your calendar?
I do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry. You said that if you see my calendar, of course. And I tend to show up for the appointments I book in my calendar as well.
And it's the first thing in my calendar, Tyler, because on every Thursday, because then there's no excuse. And I can't start my day without practicing that gratitude.
Oh, I love the discipline. Nice discipline.
Yeah. And it literally, it's crazy how easy it is if you just get in the habit of it. And it's just, who am I grateful for, what it is specifically that they did, and how it impacted me and or the organization. And you will find it takes 5 minutes max. And then sharing that gratitude publicly for the entire organization to see makes a huge impact.
Feels like something you might have learned from a best practice at one of your past organizations.
Yes, thank you. Kudos for that.
Yes,
yeah,
totally.
Kudos was it was a fun time because you were talking about purpose-driven organizations that I've worked for. Like how rewarding is it to work for an organization that increases the amount of thank yous across the world? It's fun. It was fun work.
No doubt. Talk to me about the reciprocity, because you do it. Do you see your team doing it? Like, again, leading by example isn't the best way. It's the only way. What I'm really hearing is an amazing a case study of leading by example. But do you see that reciprocity? The joke of like, hey, the more emails I send out, the more I get back. The more gratitude I send out. Do you see that? Is it true? Is the same thing true?
It depends on the week, Tyler. And
of course.
I don't let it stop me. Because I know even if I don't see another gratitude element back, I know that it has impacted that individual in a positive way, regardless of what I see. And I know if I do that every week, I can make impact every single week. Regardless on the level of impact, there will be impact.
I love it. I love how, though, we treat this like it's such a novelty item. Like, I love that you do it and I will celebrate it all day long. I remember watching I forget what it was, documentary, but somebody at Campbell's Soup, I think, if I remember randomly, a senior leader who for 20 years would send notes out, like handwritten notes to his team. They were all over the place. He'd send them to their offices, and they showed the impact of this cascading, like, hey, thanks a lot for such and such. And it was the same thing you said. It was personal. Yeah. It was identified to the individual. People had these notes that they'd been saving in their offices for 5 years, 10 years. Yeah. And we still treat it like it's a novel idea. So I'm doing two things. I'm shaming all of the rest of us for making this out to be such a big deal, while simultaneously complimenting the fact that it's really simple. It's nothing new. Doing it is the trick.
Yeah. It's, words are powerful, and it doesn't take long to do it. If you ever see in my house, I have a letter from my mom that was for my 30th birthday, and she shared, I think top 4 things that she loves about me, and I have it framed, and it has shooken me to my core of how she sees me and how I want to show up in the world. And how long did it take her to write that letter? I not too long, but it has really shaped me and really grounded me in just being a better human. And it's just these little actions that you can take, right? Don't just say in a birthday card, happy birthday, well, you do this for birthday cards, so I know that you know this. It's really
this is for the audience. We're trying to share this
for the audience.
What I want to do is also, I love people to hear this and go, oh yeah, that's great for you. No, I think it's really accessible for any of us, and that few minutes of just taking time, because it really comes down to being deliberate and being intentional, which words you've said a couple times on the show so far.
Yeah, and it's just putting that little bit more effort in to love people. It's worth it.
Oh, it took what 24 minutes for you to drop? You dropped the L-bomb 25 minutes in.
I did.
Oh, yeah. There's some people that are feeling uncomfortable right now, but that's okay. That's what we love. All right, pivoting for a second. Talk to me. You've been doing this for 2 years. You must have seen some pretty amazing humans. Some of them happen to be women. And I want to identify, because something you and I have talked about. Your programs are also open towards men as well, right? Correct. Yes. Like, I just want to make sure we're leveling the playing field and letting everybody know that yes, you have a very intentional focus, which I love, and you're being deliberate. And at the same time, it's open to anyone who wants to get involved.
Yes. So our founders program is obviously to support female founders in pitching. Our investor programs are to support anyone who wants to be part of early stage investing and are curious about that inclusive lens and just how to support startups and innovative companies more effectively.
Yeah, okay, I love it. So it is open that way. Do you get what if you got 10 people in the room? Is it 1 man, 2 men, 3 men? I'm just curious now to go back to the numbers.
Yeah, I would say 10%. We call them allies. We call them 10% of allies. Yeah. Cool. And we love them. We give them much high fives, and we level set them and make sure that they're also included and welcome, right? It's important that we walk the walk as well.
Yes, and inclusive. Like, dude, you have a focus, but you're inclusive. I completely appreciate that. So talk to me about some of the stories or some of the founders you've seen. We'll talk on the founder side, some of the companies and how, well, okay, 2 questions. What have you seen that really blew you away or had impact on you? You're like, wow, not only did this person overcome these obstacles and climb the mountain, they had an amazing product. And do you also track the metrics on success? Because I could get funding. Where do I go with it? How did it return? Are you looking for how many people you've influenced, or do you also measure the success of some of these startups 2 years down the road now? Because you probably have some companies that you've known for a couple of years or more so.
Yeah. So I'll start with the second question. One of our values at Movement 51, and one of my personal values, is data and being data driven and really understanding, it's not just a feel-good program, but it's a program that actually makes a difference. Of course, I want them to feel good and be happy about the program and have a great NPS score. That's great. But what really matters is if these female founders get fundraising.
Yeah.
And so we stay closely connected with our founders and check in with them at a certain cadence to see, how is your fundraising journey going? Where was our gaps, if any, in the program? What is your biggest challenge right now? And have you fundraised? And what are those numbers? And so, we do see our female founders getting fundraising and killing it. It's just, it's incredible. Start creating so many more jobs, creating so much more traction, and getting money from VCs. It's super cool. When it comes to stories of entrepreneurs, well, something that is really interesting that we teach our founders is the importance of connecting at a human-to-human level. And so the importance of pitching is not just knowing your numbers, which is also really important, Tyler. It's knowing your numbers relentlessly and knowing them well. That is very important. And what also is important is being able to connect human to human while you're pitching. And so it's sharing your story. And that can be, for some founders, depending on what the story is, really scary and or really hard and very vulnerable sometimes. And so we've seen founders, a lot of women founders you'll see are purpose-driven businesses because of a personal story that they've had. Right. And you'll see that with founders, period, to be fair. But you see that a lot with underrepresented founders in general, is that impact purpose-driven business. And so we share the importance of sharing their story, and we have seen crowds cry, Tyler. And it just, well, and I'm one of them because I cry super easily, but I'm not the only one crying.
That's good.
And
it's good to clarify.
Yeah, and it's just, it's a beautiful thing to connect on a human level and be like, you know what, this impacted me and this is a problem and I'm making a difference. And here are the numbers to prove it. It's super cool. And so I don't want to, I could tell you so many examples, but I don't want to go into it too much because there's just, I think they all deserve to be celebrated.
That was very, Arielle will be going into politics after the show. Very well done.
Thank you so much.
Which ones have impacted you? Not which ones. So sorry, I'll stop asking that sick question in a different way. How has it changed because you're in the room, you're hearing these things. How has it changed how you've navigated your life or your career? Or because you walk out of that room having heard those stories as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's really important to recognize that even if you don't have the capital financially to support an early stage company, you have the human capital and the purchasing power to support an early stage company. And it's really important for you to, when you are purchasing, to understand the power behind that. And that an organization has values. They can say that they have values, but the actual values that they are showcasing and implementing throughout their product, service, and operations can be very much aligned to what your values are if you look for it. And it's important to know that your money matters and where you put it. And you can also put your human capital as an advising volunteer work to support early stage investing as well. If again, you don't have that financial capital.
Would you make that as a recommendation to an early stage investor to also yes, you might be able to write a check. Do you also encourage them to get involved and roll up their sleeves and get in there? And because I've also heard from many, many founders, you can get checks from a lot of places, but getting access to a network, getting access to 25 years of experience, you can, getting access to someone's Rolodex, if you will, as dated as that sounds, I think we all still know what it means. Getting access to someone's pool of connections to help open doors and know-how. It is so much more than just getting a check. From what I've been told by so many founders, especially as they get later on, they get a lot more skilled in we don't want to just take money because technically we can get that from anywhere. It's a bold thing to say, but I think when you have a sense of abundance around fundraising, you start to get really specific around what other things you're looking for as a founder at whatever stage.
It's a big question. We teach our investors / aspiring investors, their investment thesis. And what an investment thesis is, their parameters of what they're going to invest in, so that when they hear a pitch, they understand that this is within my boundaries or not within my boundaries of how I'm going to support. Now, when you are supporting an early stage organization, you can choose to be an angel investor. So you directly give them the paycheck, or you can choose to be a limited partner within a venture capital fund, which means you give your paycheck to someone who's watching the pitches, doing the due diligence, and really choosing those organizations. And I think it's a hard question, Tyler, because as an investor, you do have value. Sometimes the value is just the paycheck.
Yep.
Sometimes the value is that access to networks, but you need to understand and come from a place of curiosity of what that founder needs and really, really seek to understand and support them and not dive in deep and say, oh, I'm going to help in this way or that way. And it's really coming to understand what they need and then stepping away when it's not you.
I love the idea of an investment thesis, and how do individuals struggle to get that? Part of your going through your process, I'm assuming, is they walk out with a clear idea of what their investment thesis is, because it's like saying, who's your customer? It's everyone. Okay, so it's no one. Investment thesis kind of plays the same role, right?
Yeah, Yeah, so we spend quite a bit of time with our investors on building their investment thesis and showing the importance of it. And we Mad Libs. You
I
remember
do.
Mad Libs?
I
Yeah,
do.
where you do like blank, comma, blank, adjective, adjective. So we let them build their own investment thesis through ad libs. So I invest in blank companies with a blank size check to support blank with blank, which is special sauce. And so you need to come up with not just I'm going to invest in health tech at 50K a check size in Alberta. It's also with a special sauce, so you really zero in and connect your values and or your mentorship with what that special sauce is. So you could say, I only want to support founders that are a second-time founder, or have a co-founder, or have an organization that has the value of community. There's got to be some sort of element that really drives it home that why you're investing in that organization. And that's where the fun is.
A good way to see that also is to talk to some of these funds and understand their thesis, because most of them have a very well-refined thesis, which I do appreciate. And they have expertise that often
they have to.
They have a why us and why this and why now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they, venture funds have a responsibility to their limited partners that they stick with their investment thesis. They have to have those boundaries. And you'll see, if you check out any venture capital fund's website, you'll see their investment thesis.
It's usually right on the homepage.
Yeah. And and so it really is a compass for you as a founder. If you look at that venture capital fund, and if you're pitching to someone that it's not in their thesis, you're pitching to the wrong person.
Back to the founder side of things, of like being very critical and deliberate with your time and your energy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because pitching is a part-time job, is almost a full-time job, I should say.
Oh yeah. Like, if you're the CEO, you need to know how to pitch, and you need to know how to pitch well, and it's not easy. And yeah, we with our program, we teach our founders how to respond to getting grilled. And it's fun.
Nothing better than role playing. Nothing better than practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
red team, red team, yellow team, or whatever, red team, blue team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's one of our tactics for engagement, as we were chatting about, like, what are some of the ways to ensure that your program is engaging and interesting, is we have a lecture lab format. And so we start with the lecture, and it's very, instructor oriented, facilitated, and very like terminology, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then get ready to roll up your sleeves, because we're going into the lab, and that's where we do the hard work. And really take into what they have learned, and they really have to dive in deep in order to be successful.
I love it. It sounds very uncomfortable, right up my alley.
Yeah. It's fun.
I'm like, ooh, makes the hair on the back of your neck. If you were going to take an imaginary set of scales, that on one side you had founders, the other side you had, investors, early stage investors, individual investors. Then on the other side you had funds, and you were going to balance those scales out. Where do you think they sit right now in terms of what you've seen being in the space for the last couple of years? Are we light on one side? Are we heavy on another side? Is it fairly even? What's your kind of landscape view?
Ooh, I love that question. Well, you'll see in the ecosystem, there is tons of support for founders.
Okay.
And there's a lot of need to support our founders and lift them up and celebrate them and push them forward, because these bold people need support. And I think we do a pretty good job as an ecosystem doing that. Where I see a need is more people becoming more aware and comfortable with investing in early stage investing. Okay. As you know, early stage investing we call it a spicy part of your portfolio. It is money that is, you're willing to risk it, but you risk it for the biscuit. Like if you want to take it to the next level, you've got to risk it. And so we really want to make early stage investing approachable by allowing investors to fund with a smaller check size and be part of the story, because it's incredible. But not a lot of people really understand early stage investing and the opportunity that's there. And again, it is because it is a risky part of your portfolio. But there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Do you get prescriptive with the numbers? Portfolio theory is nothing new. You've got, $10 million, you've got $1 million. You should only put X amount of percentage of that into it, just as, do you guys get into, and if not, that's okay. Do you get prescriptive at that level to give them very specific parameters?
We do. I would lean on our facilitators for that.
Okay,
I wouldn't say I'm an expert in early stage investing. I have been in the program multiple times, but I'm still learning. I'm a forever learner, but I am not the teacher for that education. So I can't throw that number at you right now.
Back to your political answer. Again, I think you're running for office. That was a lovely answer that was not an answer at all. No, I do appreciate it. And that was a very specific question. And I know that oftentimes, again, coming back to what are some of the fundamentals, what are some guardrails to also keep you safe and, willing to put that money forward. And do you also find it's challenging because oftentimes I talk to individuals that invest in this sector and they invest across a wide variety. Back to your point about maybe smaller checks, more of them. Going all in on one specific investment is arguably outsized level of risk versus I'm going to invest in 10 different, I'm going to write 10 $50,000 checks or $10,000 checks versus I'm going to write one big one. And I'm assuming that's a big part of just diversifying and having a really clear thesis and then getting in as many pitches as you can to just hear what's out there.
You've got it.
Yeah.
And it's so different being an angel investor versus a limited partner, right? Because when you are a limited partner, you are counting on the fund to listen to all those pitches. If you're an angel investor, you have to do the work and see hundreds of pitches, which is a lot.
I have a lot of friends that run funds, and when you hear the numbers that they churn, it melts your brain a little bit. Like, I've saw 10 companies, I couldn't find one that I want to invest in. And I've heard people get discouraged. I'm like, 10, you have to see 100. 300.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know a couple of funds that are Toronto that I've had on the show, and they're 250 to 350 a year they're listening to.
Yeah.
Do the quick math, folks. It's one a day, 2 a day.
Well, yeah. And so if you're a limited partner and you're joining in a fund, they're, as you know, investing in multiple organizations, and so it's really diversifying the portfolio, right? And so you hear in Financial 101, diversify. And so it is safer to be a limited partner, but I would say it's more fun to be an angel investor. But like, you wouldn't see
it all depends. It all depends where you're at, of course.
You wouldn't see me doing it, but it depends on exactly where you're at, what your interests are, and if you're willing to dive in deep, go for it.
Absolutely. And the amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of space you have in your life to be able to do that. I'm assuming you also have individuals that go through your program to go, oh, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to go down, I'm going to become a limited partner versus an angel. Like, again, knowledge is power, understanding what you're getting into. And I think it can appear very sexy from the outside. I think there's kind of a Hollywood tinge to it sometimes, where, like anything in the world of finance, it's usually a lot of discipline, and you kind of want it to be a bit boring, right? To be safe.
Absolutely. Well, and it's, a lot of people, exactly what you're saying, is go into our program and say, you know what, I'm going to become a limited partner, but I'm so glad I know what the venture fund is now doing in terms of due diligence. I'm so glad that I understand now the terminology 101. So I'm not a silent limited partner, but I'm really understanding the impact that I'm making and what that venture fund, like the work that they're doing behind the scenes to really make that difference. And so, like, what are those questions? Those due diligence questions? It's hard work, but it's super interesting. But those venture funds work really hard to protect their fund.
Mm-hmm. And the best thing education can do is sometimes also teach you what you shouldn't be doing or what you don't want to do. I don't be careful with shoulds and shouldn'ts. And, oh, wow. Now that I understand, maybe this isn't for me. I'm going to go down. You know, I just don't have the time or energy right now to be an angel investor. So I'm a limited partner, and I feel very great about it, and have a great relationship with the individuals who are running those funds. And I watch, and I get to, you know, have coffee or breakfast and get an idea of deal flow with knowing I just don't have the bandwidth to do it myself right now. And that was a moment of like, okay, admit reality here and then find another path. And it was, I felt so much more relieved after realizing and making a decision to not be for now. Again, for now.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Well, it's, you know, it's all about celebrating the wins of a program. And so if someone leaves the program and says early stage investing is too scary, they still have an actionable item coming out of the program. Obviously, 100%. We want to get more people in early stage investing, whether it's an angel investor or a limited partner. We want to educate people of this spicy part of your portfolio. We do this really cool thing. We learned this from the Huskane School of Business of really reflecting on whether it's a webinar or a course or a podcast, to really reflect on what you've learned that past, you know, hour or 2 hours that you have experienced. And so what you do is it's called circle, square, triangle.
Okay.
And have you heard this?
I have not.
Okay. So when you're done a webinar, start with circle. What are 1 to 2 concepts that you are circling around in your head that you still have questions about? Number 2, square. What are concepts that you have squared away and you could repeat it back to somebody else? Mm-hmm. And then number 3, the most important one, is triangle. What are 3 significant ideas that I can take away and really own? And it sounds like a really simple and easy thing to do, but that power of reflection really empowers you to take that education to the next level. And it's really, we get people to do this to see what those wins are of that program and really get that feedback as well.
That self-curiosity to be curious enough to go, what did I take away? What do I, how do I feel about, and asking yourself. And I think some of the most powerful questions we get to ask are inward.
Yeah. And when we get people to do this, we get a lot of laughs sometimes and like, oh, why do we have to reflect? And it's like, just do it. I swear it will be
a little bit of a trust me game.
Yeah. You will in a week be grateful that you did that.
I love it. What's next for Movement 51?
Ooh, well, as you know, I have a new boss as of Monday, which is really exciting.
We're already in the future, so she will you'll already be working. You'll already be working together. She's here, and it's going amazing.
And so grateful for her to jump in. We are now with Alberta Innovates, as mentioned, doing 2 cohorts to impact more founders yearly, which is just amazing. Like, just the impact that we make is just, you can just see it. It's so satisfying. And then with the investor program, well, we're up to something. So stay tuned.
Nice. Excellent tease.
As you know, we're doing boot camps right now. We are doing 1-day intensive early stage investing 101. In the past, we've done 5-week programs. We are looking to mold and shape our investing to make greater impact. And, as I mentioned, that importance of face-to-face, really catalyzing some of that as well.
I love it. So no dull days in your world is what I'm hearing loud and clear.
Always changing, always adapting. It's fun.
Always getting better. Movement51.org. If someone wants to learn more, get involved with either your investor lab or get involved with the funder side. I'm assuming it's all investor funder
it's
about
all
us.
There.
It's all there to be found. What if someone wants to get in touch with you? What's your preferred form in the million ways of we can all communicate?
Yeah. Add me on LinkedIn. I'm just a few clicks away, Arielle Land. If you want to elaborate, if you're curious more about early stage investing, community building, empowerment through education, I would love to chat with you. So just connect with me on LinkedIn.
Fabulous. Arielle, thanks so much. Thanks for the work you do. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for your passion in this conversation today. I loved it.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
My pleasure.